Okay, get our meeting underway here. Call to order and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first thing we got is the minutes of June 23rd and June 30th. I think everybody's got a copy of those. Peruse those over here.
I already read them. I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 6:23 and 6:30.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you. The finance report.
We got that in an email, right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the finance reports for the month of May.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in approval?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, it's passed. Fire chief.
Okay, runs, you guys have that in front of you. Since the last meeting, 33 fire runs, 112 EMS, and 8 combination. 35 into Cedar Creek, 29 into Leo Cedarville, 31 in Springfield, 12 in Grayville, 1 in Scipio, and 45 mutual aid.
You know how, are we close the same as last year or ahead or right hanging in there? Or yeah, I always wondered.
We're a little behind, aren't we?
I think, last I remember seeing we were in 700s,
No.
which would put us about equal with last year.
Okay.
Last year we did like 1,436.
Total.
For the total?
Yeah.
We are at we're just under 900. Or it's 800, just under 800.
So
Just under 800.
we'll be ahead of last year.
And one other thing, that as soon as I probably have to talk to my IT guy, I probably have to do a screen print or something, but we're getting the I-roll, the inspection reporting online stuff. So far, since we've started, 25 reports have been filed. As of right now, 96% or 24 of them are compliant. I think we had as many as 4 out of compliance at one time, but they've all been addressed. The last one is a minor issue at, I can't remember if it's Leo Elementary or high school, but it's a minor deficiency that they have to have somebody come out and,
They can't do it, so they gotta.
I guess, they did some remodeling. They've got one of their alarms isn't on the bottom of the
Ceiling.
tiles.
Ceiling
They left it up on top. They just got to have somebody put it down below. So,
So it'll work.
yeah. So it's not a major thing. I was there last week, and they're supposed to be getting on it. So
Is that something you caught or county building inspection did too? Or
the
I always
inspections
wondered what the difference.
Yeah.
for that one, that was I can't remember if it was Corson's or it was one of the companies that does inspections. They were doing their annual inspection there, and they found that. That was at the high school. The elementary school had batteries that needed to be replaced in their alarm system, backup batteries. Those were listed for like 2 or 3 months as being deficient. Nobody ever sent the paperwork in. It was done the next week after they found it, but nobody sent the paperwork in. The inspection I did there last week was because they had some other work done and we had to sign off on it before school started. But yeah, I'll figure out a way with Ben and we'll be able to post this stuff for you guys so you can, but basically what it comes down to is 96% of the 25 inspections are up and good. And the one deficiency was it's being addressed.
They expect that done before school starts?
That was my hope. That was when I talked to him last week.
Jeff, have we talked any further with Chief Height about doing our inspections? Because I know that was a topic of conversation for a while and it's
Yeah.
kind of dropped off.
He was at the meeting we were at this morning and he left before the meeting got over and I didn't get to talk to him.
Because I know he's got a lot going. He had, you know, a loss, and I know he's got some stuff going on. But the last time I talked to him, he seemed still very open to doing it. We just got to work on getting the
How long ago was that you heard from him?
couple weeks.
After his loss?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I haven't talked to him since then, so I'm ready to go. When we've got money, I'll gladly pay him to start doing that.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you get time, I know you've got plenty, but maybe get a hold of him and start getting that going, because I know that stuff is stuff that we can take it off your plate. We'll give you more
Yeah.
time. So, and if we got the money to do it, like, because I know we were talking about budgeting it, and I think we did.
We did.
We need to move on it so that he can get started over here, because I know he's in full swing over there, and he told me even with the stuff he's got over there, he can easily work us and our stuff in. So it's just a matter of
He needs to tell that to Fire 91, because the last time I talked to Fire 91, he wasn't sure that was going to be possible.
okay, because
To work it in?
Yeah.
I'll see him all tomorrow, so
Okay.
I'll talk to him.
Yeah, like I said, Brad was at that meeting, but he left before it got done. I wanted to talk to him after the meeting, but he had to leave for something else.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out a way to get some of this off your plate.
Well, and that's just it. Next month when we talk about the budget, I'm gonna be having money in there for that, because if we can't get him, we need somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We completed our physicals. All of the career staff went through their physicals for the first time. And I think everybody, we haven't got the survey back, but I think everybody was happy with it. I haven't heard any, oh, you didn't go.
I didn't,
Yeah. All of the sworn firefighters went through. And
I'm not
I figured that stress test was fun for you.
And we had 4 departments, Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, and East Central. And next year, West Central is going to be in on it too. And that's going to help to keep the prices down.
Keep that price down, yeah. So they come in and do them.
They parked
As a group?
they parked their trailer at New Haven at Base 10, and we had a schedule. We gridded it out. Everybody got a couple hours each day, and we rotated crews through.
Nice.
Consolidation. I know you've been to a couple of the meetings, missed a couple of them. As soon as I get the most recent draft, I'm going to send you guys the draft of the, hopefully it's not a draft, hopefully it's the final of the Purdue study. And I'll let you guys take a look at that. I know there's been some concern with the commissioners that everybody is still on board. If there's anything, any questions you guys have, concerns about consolidation, please let me know and I'll either address it or get an answer for you.
So there's rumblings that some are not on board anymore with this?
I don't want to put it that way. They just want to confirm
Okay.
that everybody still is.
I was gonna say, it seemed like the last meeting, the one that I got to go to, everybody was on board.
And I think so too. Probably the biggest question is when and how soon. I will tell you, I am the biggest proponent of the sooner the better. I can give you example after example of how things work better when we're together, just like the prices for those physicals.
Yeah.
Couple of things I'm going to talk about later were because we were working together. But if there's any concerns you guys have about that or any doubts, please let me know. I don't think any system is perfect, and I just think that we're better together, we're stronger together.
Have they given any inclination on when that final report or meeting will be?
I kind of thought it would have been already. Short answer is no.
No. Okay.
Yeah. I talked to the guy in charge of the grants. We've got one out for defibrillators that's on its second year.
Yeah, our life back monitors.
And have you heard, did he talk to you about that one?
Did you?
David Schwartz, the guy that writes the grants?
No.
When the Doge stuff went through, a lot of stuff got put on hold. And they've been slow to open it back up. So the defibrillators that he was talking about, and we were supposed to get the radios that we lost out on in the first countywide radio grant, those are all on hold. He said they will start them up again, he just didn't know the schedule.
Didn't know when.
No. The one other thing that was kind of bad news is we've been told about a tanker grant, and we've got 2 tankers that are 29 years old, we turn in 30 soon, and I was originally told at 30, after 30 years old, that you would be allowed to, you should expect to get the grant. They pushed that back, now it's about 34 years old. So,
How are our tankers holding up?
well,
Are we gonna make it?
one of them's out of service right now. They are the 2 smallest ones. We could replace both of them with one. It would take half as many people to crew it, be able to get it out the door, and that one would hold more, or as much or more than those 2 currently do.
I guess start working on prices and we'll start
That's-
figuring that out.
We got an apparatus committee meeting tomorrow, and that's one of the things.
So that grant is supposed to be coming back?
Well, that grant for the tankers,
Yeah.
we'd have to wait 4 more years for it.
Because of the 34.
They push the age
Okay,
limit back.
gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know if they just had too many of them apply, and that's where the cutoff point is at now.
Well, I mean, just start working on quotes for us and we'll start figuring out the budget for it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Was that
Apparatus,
state money? The tanker grant, was that state money?
no, this is federal.
Federal.
It's still
Yep.
federal money?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, all these grants were federal. Yeah, the tanker would have been either 90-10 or 80-20 split.
Alright.
We'd have the smaller share. Apparatus, engine 172 is back. We tested it every day the last 3 days. It's been running fine. We had a meeting with Northwest today. When we originally talked about this, our engine and ambulance was moving out of 170 and moving down to 190. In the month that we've been without that truck to put down there, they put a truck in. They basically want to keep their truck there, and we do not need to put that over there now.
Is there a reason they want to do that, Jeff? Because I think I know the reason.
What do you think?
When we put it back in service the last time, there was some issues with the equipment going on and off, and there was somebody who was very rigid and inflexible about that equipment, and they just don't want to fight about it anymore.
About the placement?
About the placement and what equipment's going on, what equipment's not. And there was somebody who was extremely rigid about it, and they just don't want to fight about it. So that's what they're meant. If they want to have their equipment on there, they're just going to put it on their own rig, and they're going to make sure it's where they want.
Well, and this is one of more of those things that if we were consolidated, would all be together and there would be a standard plan for
I agree.
how each rig is set up. And it's not that one department does it right and one does it wrong. It's
Just different.
one likes, one likes chocolate and the other likes vanilla.
Well, and here's the thing that I've said 1,000 times now with this consolidation we did is we're going to find where we have to work common ground. We have to figure it out. And, we're still working through it. I mean, for the most part, it sounds like it's working very, very well. There are some bumps and bruises on there along the way, but it's working like we would hope it was working. Now we just got to figure out and fine tune it. At least that's everything that I've heard, because obviously I'm in the station. I'm there. I find out from not only boots on the ground, but everybody, and they're all, for the most part, are happy with the situation. It's just a matter of there's a lot of unknowns and stuff that are coming along with it that we've got to figure out. At least that's what I got out of it, Joe. You know more than I do, though.
We thought the biggest issue was going to be EMS related, narcotics, charting, billing, stuff like that. Those have all been worked through. Our medical director and their medical director, and Ben can talk to this better than me. They're working fine together. It's the little things, and it's whether it's
How cold's the water from the water fountain?
stuff like that. It's like,
Well, I mean,
come on, guys.
we all expected those little things that we're just going to have to hash out. I mean, it was all expected.
Well, the thing is, Mr. and Mrs. Smith are getting better response because of this. And because we are two, and they're having anywhere from 4 to 6, on a good day, there's 8 people coming out of that station.
Nice.
There's no other station
Oh,
in
when
the
I-
county that can get 2 fire trucks out the door.
Yeah, when I walked into the station the first couple weeks, it was like there were firefighters, EMTs, paramedics everywhere. Like they were in B shift. The last B shift I went in, it was working flawlessly. Where one of the ambulances had been out 2 or 3 times in a row. Our guys said, "Okay, you've been out a couple times.
We'll take the next.
We'll take the next one," and they're working as a team, and that's what I expected out of it. Maybe my expectations were a little bit different. I don't know, but that's what I expected, and I'm proud of those guys, and I'm
Yeah,
proud of the
good.
crews that are in there doing such a good job.
That's what we hope would happen, that's for sure.
There's 2 big picture things that are coming out of this. We will not put any of our new hires over there. All of our new hires will go to the other 2 stations and staff them up quicker. And what just came out today, because they want to keep their engine there, the engine that we were going to put there now, we have the option of putting at base 140. The plan was down the line,
There isn't one there now, is
there's a ladder truck instead.
there? Right.
The ladder truck is 75 foot, and from the curb, 75-foot truck does not get to most homes. It goes up, we use it defensively, and it carries half as much water. We really need the water. The plan down the line was to replace that with an engine when it came time,
So
saving half as much money. A ladder truck's 2-point-something million, and engines, you can get them for under $1 million.
a positive came out of it.
Yeah.
Good.
The thing is, it happened faster than we planned on it. Again, this is going to be a topic for the apparatus committee meeting tomorrow. It's a good thing in disguise, I guess is one way to put it. Didn't plan on it happening that fast. But yeah, that's something we'll deal with.
Okay.
Extrication. I think I sent you guys something before.
The email you sent.
Yeah, and here's, if you don't have it in front of you, this was planned. We were going to get a new set of extrication equipment to replace a prior generation. We'll have the hydraulic stuff on each of our first apparatus heading out, and we'll have a spare. What that gives us is twice last year we had equipment go down, and we were 4-6 weeks without a piece of equipment because we didn't have a spare set. And I kind of explained that on there before, but this was budgeted for, and the thing was, we've got 3 departments, East Central, Northwest, and Northeast, all buying at the same time.
Gave us a discount.
They gave us $72.50 off. I just found out today, the other 2 districts aren't gonna order theirs right away. And it says in the quote, we gotta order them at the same time. I was gonna ask you guys to approve this. I will probably wait until next month.
And see,
Well, we need to do it all at the same time.
Right,
that
to get the discount.
Yeah.
okay.
So that's where we're at with that.
Well, Jeff, do you want us to do a vote on it and approve it?
I don't care how you guys do that. If you want to.
I think if we're spending this, we should probably make, Trey, what's up?
There might be a way that we might be able to order it.
And he did talk to the sales.
So I'm waiting for the sales rep to call me back. He was gonna check with his boss to see if there's something that they could do since we're ready to order it or not. He said something maybe we pay the extra and then they'll credit that back, or maybe if we could just get a signed document from the other one that can do it all at once. He was gonna talk to his boss and do that.
Do we know how long it's gonna be before the others are ready for it?
Well, it won't be until their meeting next month, and each of them have it at a different time. But we're the last one to have ours in July. So it'll be anybody's meeting in August.
I'm perfectly fine with us. I mean, Troy obviously worked on it. I like this price better than I like paying the full.
Oh, yeah.
And if they credit us, I mean, are we ordering more stuff from them? Because that's the thing. If they credit us, then we have this sitting and we may never use it again.
It was more of a credit the dollar amount back to us.
Okay, so they would actually send it back to us, okay.
We could get it back as a refund.
Yes, that was an option that he was.
And Jeff, we budgeted, Chief, we budgeted for the full amount here.
Yeah, if you notice, there's 2 sets of Rams on there. When we bought the engine last year,
Yeah.
we didn't buy those because that would have put us over what we could have spent for that engine. So this money is in there for all of that.
I don't know how we want to word it. Do we want to word it as,
So just.
so it's up, so basically it would be, if I'm looking at it right, it'd be like $61,000 roughly.
Probably, yeah. Let's go, yeah.
Yeah. with the
So if we just make a motion to approve the expenditure of $61,000 for extrication equipment, that'll give you guys the ability to spend the money, and if whatever you don't spend obviously is a good thing. Or whatever we get credited back is a good thing.
And you did have that
What's-
originally
what's that?
budgeted, the 61.
Well, we didn't know exactly what it was gonna be,
But-
but there's money in the budget right now
Yeah,
for it.
to
I was
cover
in
it.
that neighborhood. Of course, we were going off of last year's price.
Right.
So it did go up, but we knew it was gonna go up something. But there is money,
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be covered either way.
yeah.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the purchase of extrication equipment at the price not exceeding $61,000. Does that sound good enough? I think if I do my math right, it'll still be under 61,000. But
I
that'll
think
give
it's
you,
gonna be 62, just under 62, 61. Is that right?
No, 61.
61? Okay.
I know, I'm not a
I'm
math
doing it in my
guy.
head here.
You
I'll
got it.
do it out.
I don't trust my head, so I'm
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah, I get about 6,800.
That's what I was looking at, that's what I thought.
60,000. 61 on it.
Okay.
So make it for 61,000 towards the extrication equipment.
Okay, there's been a motion for the extrication equipment to be approved for 61,000, not to exceed 61,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Chris, a second. Been a motion seconded. All those approved?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I was gonna ask you for another purchase, but Mike Reichert from the communications gave me the information I needed today at about 3 o'clock. We don't have to move this month yet. We can move next month. There's a deadline coming up to upgrade certain radios. We can buy used radios prior to that at about somewhere between a half and a third of the total cost, or we can pay full price. I'll have all those numbers for you guys next time. We got to do a software upgrade on a certain amount of them and replace a certain amount of them. This was planned. All of the chiefs were going to do this phased in over a couple of years. Some of it has to be done soon. Some of it has to be done by 2030. We can save quite a bit by doing it now instead of waiting and paying the full price or the 2030 price.
Does Mike have confidence in these
Yep.
used ones, that once the upgrade and everything's done, that we'll be set and good for?
And he's not the only one. Yes, he's not the only one that said it, but these break. Mobile radios and trucks hardly ever break. You might slam the mic in the door, but the mic can be replaced. But the radios themselves rarely break. He says it's no guarantee that none of them will, but he's pretty confident that they will last. Some of the radios we've got now are over 20 years old because very few, there's only 4 rigs here that have there's 5 rigs that have new radios of our 28. And that's because they just haven't bought, when a truck is replaced, they take the old radio out and move it. So we really haven't spent a lot of, the historical department has not spent a lot on radios in the past few years.
Will this have an impact on what you wanted to get grant-wise on these radios? Or
Well,
are
it's
they
a
too
different grant. You can't get grants, I've been told, on mobile radios, just on HTs.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, we've already got our order in for the HTs if we can get them. And that
Okay.
would fill out all the writing positions we've got. But that's on hold. Next is, I'm gonna be asking a couple of you guys to get on a building committee with some members of the department. Definitely with bringing on more people, we need remodel, add-on, or new buildings to replace or fix what we've got. Washington, Base 60 from Northwest is being remodeled now. They're getting ready to do something with Base 90. They're growing. Everybody's heard about West Central and their fire station they wanted to build. Well,
I mean, as far as I know, there's no chance of us getting a new building from the county right now, so we're probably gonna have to, we're gonna have to expand or renovate what we have.
And that's another reason I say we can't consolidate fast enough, because once that's done, we can start deciding which buildings in which order. But since we've got to do it ourselves, we've got to do what's best for us right now without spending too much money.
Well, the move to 190 helped that side, now we
It
just
did.
gotta get the
Yeah,
other
it did.
two.
They gave us some nice time, that's for sure.
But the oldest building is now not being used 24/7. It still works fine to house apparatus in, but not people. And unfortunately, the last thing, I've got no update on the volunteer contract. I haven't heard back from the president, so
We've pretty much figured everything out at this point, right? All it needs is the sign. Am I correct, or?
What do you mean?
All we need to do is approve it. They need to approve it. I mean, we've got all the stuff that they wanted. We all figured it out.
Oh, we're probably close. Yeah, I was just talking about all the other things
Oh,
combined, but
okay.
yeah. Yeah. If we would sit down together, it wouldn't take a lot. It's just we haven't been able to sit down, and they have not had a volunteer meeting since February, maybe?
Okay.
Probably been one in the last year.
Well, there's been 3 since I've been here.
How long have you been here?
15, 16 months. Yeah.
That's a problem.
I think, unless you guys have questions, that covers all I had.
Old business? Is that what we're moving?
Yep.
Sorry.
No,
Randy.
fine.
Had a moment.
Hey, just exercising your co-chair.
That's right. Lack of sleep from travel the last 3 days, sorry. I'll shut now.
Okay, Ben, you want to go over for Chief, the district medical fees?
No, you said it right, Ben.
You'll say again, go over the,
Proposal for
The
the
bill.
change in the, yeah,
okay, the fees and bill.
yeah.
So, yeah, coming back to what we talked about last month, there's 2 things. Number one is with consolidating with 190. We don't want a patient to be billed differently depending on which ambulance goes out for. So there's a real push for uniformity, number one. Number 2, changes with the state and the laws play into that too, to everybody being uniform. We're kind of unique in our area because we offer a 40% discount for anyone that pays cash. Traditionally, we call it the Amish discount. They're the ones that it will affect the most, in that they pretty much always pay cash if they don't have their Amish insurance. And so we offer that discount, but it goes to anyone that was a cash-paying customer or patient. No other district does that, of offering that cash discount, number one. Number 2 is we don't balance bill our constituents, meaning that when you call an ambulance, there is a bill generated. We send it to your insurance, we take whatever insurance accepts, and then we write off the rest. Other districts in our area also don't do that. Now, there is, with the new state law, a requirement that pretty much everyone is not supposed to balance bills. So we take what your insurance pays, and you don't see a bill for the rest. But there is a caveat to that. If you have not met your deductible, you would see a bill. So if you had, say, $2,000 left on your deductible and our bill was $1,000, you would still be on the hook for that $1,000, even with the state law. That's how other districts will do it. What we do currently, is whether you met your deductible or not, we take what your insurance gives us, and that's it. And so what we need to change is we need to get on an even playing field with with Northwest and with the rest of the districts. So with that, we would remove the 40% discount for cash. Everybody, if you don't have insurance, you'll get our ambulance bill. You work it out with our billing company. Also, that the balance bill situation, if you're a resident versus not a resident, everyone's treated the same. So everyone, we would bill your insurance, you get a bill for the rest, if we're able to do that according to the state guidelines. There was a couple fees. I had submitted that last month. I didn't bring a copy with me this month, so I apologize. Hopefully it's in the minutes, but we want to get on the same rates as Northwest also come together. Now, for the most part, there was only about like 3 different areas where we were different than they were. But what we decided is we would all come up to whoever was the highest. We were all within range of what's appropriate, but we'd all come up to the highest. So if we charged a little more for a certain thing that they didn't, they were coming up to us. And if they charged a little more for something we didn't, we were coming up to them. I laid that out last month, and when I sent you the email for that. So that's really, in a nutshell, summarizing, that's what we need to do, is the 40% discount cash go away. The balance bill, if you're a resident versus a non-resident, goes away, and we accept the rates that I propose, which puts us at the same level, us in the Northwest.
If they have no insurance and we bill them, then what do we propose then if they don't pay at all? Just like if it's the Amish or a cash payer, then since we don't go after them, then
Yeah, so
there's
eventually,
nothing.
eventually on our part, pretty much like any other company, it would be called bad debt.
Right.
And write it off. So normally that process will go about a year. They will get a letter cycle, I think there's 4 cycles, and then eventually if they don't pay or make some sort of arrangement, it will get written off. We do not take anybody to collections. Northwest does not take anybody to collections. Other districts do. So it's not that's not a uniform thing, at least not yet. From what I've seen, I've researched taking people to collections before, and speaking with our billing company, really, it's once they take their fee, the recovery rate's not that good, and then they take their fee, you don't really get a whole lot, and you cause probably a lot more hard feelings and harm for that patient. So for me, taking somebody to collections has not been a priority.
Was there anything in the, I'm not familiar with it, but the state ordinance that, talked about the no balance billing, and then they would go back with whatever you didn't pay on your deductible? That would be accessible then for us to get, if you didn't pay your deductible yet, to get you up to that amount? What about collections? Did the state say, no, yeah, does the state address that any?
I don't know.
Okay,
If
I
they
was
do
just
or not.
curious.
I guess what we talked about this a little bit last meeting, I think we all kind of agreed, raising everybody up to the same level in the fees, which is like $100 worst case on a few things.
Yeah.
I think we were all in agreement with that. I guess what was the big sticker was the 40% Amish discount.
Yeah.
And there was more to that. And I guess I didn't, if I could ask Mike Cameron, you mentioned something about how it affects our budget on that. Could you go over that one more time on if we charge the Amish, how it affects our budget, our projected budget? I remember what you said exactly at the last meeting. Do you remember?
Well, I'm sure that they're gonna see
I
higher
think it was
incomes
just
coming
the
in.
amount of collections we had, wasn't it, Mike? Not anything to do with Amish or.
Okay.
Yeah, so, all this billing, what I said last time was, this comes in as part of the miscellaneous revenue in our budgets. It's normally been, because Ben was kind enough to give me the numbers, running just a little south of $300,000 a year. That's it, how we currently do it today. So we don't balance bill, we just take the insurance money that's available, or whatever dollars would come in, without being another burden on the taxpayer. So how that would affect the budget is if you increase that, so, and I'm taking a number, and I don't know if anybody knows what this real number is, maybe Ben does because he knows what the rates would be. But if we're going to increase the Amish bill, 40% basically is what we're talking about. That's going to raise that, which will offset the EMS budget, which is a good thing. But then again, that plays into the new statutory change in the law where fire districts can levy taxes for EMS service. So what you have to look at here from a board standpoint in my mind is what is it costing us to do EMS? And a few years back, I had been extrapolating that out, and it was over half the budget. So from a business plan standpoint, at that time it was a $4 million budget, and we were expending over $2 million a year for EMS services. And we're only bringing in $300,000. That's kind of a bad business plan if you're in the private sector. It won't last very long. So that's why there was a change this year, and I don't want to get ahead of the agenda here, but there was a change that allows fire districts to levy taxes for EMS service, just like townships used to do in the old days, and territories can still do that. And so, because we're a month away from putting the budget together, I think this all kind of flows together now on whether or not you are or you aren't. The way the statute is written is the word is used may, not shall. And you have to make sure that that's declared so that you know that you're the provider in your district for EMS, because it's never been there before. It just came into effect July 1st of this year. And I know Randy, I sent the chairman the new, I gave it to the chief and the chairman of the board, the new language. There's two new sections in it for why fire districts are established, and a subsection 3 and 4. That is the new one. The other part on 4 is that it allows us now to engage in mobile integrated healthcare. There's a whole paragraph of that. Where in the past we weren't able to do that because we could only levy taxes for fire protection and fire prevention. So all these problems have been solved through state government. And you as the board are going to have to figure out that path forward. If you're going to levy taxes on the taxpayer in our district for EMS services, then you got to think really hard about it. You're going to bill them on top of that. This is almost like double taxation. So this is what we really have to look at. I can almost assure you, most of the other districts probably are unaware of this change, but they all need to look at it because I think it will make a huge difference on district by district. It will be a huge difference on consolidation if and when that happens.
So the state's given us a funding mechanism that essentially we can kind of go back to the old times of not even charging for an ambulance, right? Because
well, you're charging through the tax.
well, right, but not the individuals.
And you could still bill and collect funds from the insurance companies. I'm not suggesting you leave that money on the table, because that money can come back in and it can reduce the tax liability dollar for dollar. And that's basically what we've been doing to date.
Right. And I guess with, if you want to say increasing the cash discount to nothing or wiping it out and adding 40% to it, it depends how much we collect.
Yeah, if you run the numbers, based on the numbers that Ben gave me for the revenues that are coming in, and those were deposits, those were real dollars. And you extrapolate that out from our adjusted net assessed value, it's between 1 and 2 cents. Is what you would, per 100 was, assessed value.
Okay.
For me, I know we're going towards consolidation, and if we're gonna go towards consolidation, I guarantee you, they're not gonna carry over the 40% discount for
Well, they
consolidation. So at this point, and I don't like the idea of adding more taxes to anybody and levying more taxes at this point. If this can help supplement us a little bit, number one, and number two, it brings everybody to the same playing field. I don't see why this isn't the way we go, and we get on board with everybody. And Northwest and us, billing practices are the same, and obviously maneuver those costs. But I do think that unfortunately we're gonna have to make some changes and not have that cash discount that we do. So.
Yes.
And I'm probably just reiterating, obviously, you probably don't need me to say this, but if you take the Northwest example, 2 patients that don't have insurance, and if the Northwest ambulance shows up that day, because the other crews were on a fire engine, they're gonna get a bill, whether they have insurance or not. If a Northeast ambulance shows up to the neighbor the next day, and they don't have insurance, they are also gonna get a bill, and it's gonna be minus 40%. And those two are gonna talk and say, hey, wait a minute, what happened here? And so you create a real bear trap that we're gonna step in with Northwest when we come together, because those trucks are coming out of the same location to go to the same area of runs, but they're getting billed separately. And that's two different ways, and that really is gonna cause issues for someone when they start digging into this situation.
I just think we need to look to the future, and the fact is the future is going to be consolidation, and this isn't going to be, I mean, that discount's not going to be there. We might as well start working towards that and now, and I hate doing that to the people who can pay cash, but ultimately we've got to get on the same playing field with everybody else, and
I guess we don't really, sorry, to interrupt.
no, go
I
ahead.
guess I feel like we don't have to do it. I don't think there's a have to. Northwest could have the same option, the same box to fill in their farm. If we're using the same billing outfit, that box of discount could be available to them too, or if they don't want to check it, that's their rules. But we wouldn't have to force, let the consolidation give the new rules.
Is there anybody else in the county that does that discount?
Not that I know.
Probably not, but we have the most Amish in our district. I mean, a lot more.
Yeah, we got a
in our
different
district.
demographic for
So,
sure.
We're a different set of people than the rest of the county. So we do need to be sensitive of that.
I'm not arguing.
Well, when we talk about the consolidation part of it, and then Mike alluded to it a little bit, there's a new IC code that the state passed for July 1st, and definitely applies to us being a fire district, that if we want to provide and be the EMS authority within this fire district, then we have to declare that and make it as a resolution, and that opens up that we can tax for that, which could wipe out totally any ambulance charge, because we can, with one or 2 cents, can pay all our ambulance costs and everything as far as the ambulance.
If we levy taxes though, we're basically like, I agree, we're double dipping. We're levying taxes and we're charging them at this point.
That's what I say, if we charge a tax and we don't charge on the ambulance run, other than the insurance company.
So it's tomato type stuff. Because they're still gonna be spending the money. Honestly, me personally, I just think, we get everything online, and unfortunately we get rid of that 40% and then we don't even look at taxing any further. Because they already got hit with plenty of taxes when we became a district. Quite a few got hit with those pretty decently, and I don't want to add more to it. And I get it. I completely understand that we have a large Amish population, but it's just one of those things that I think, we're gonna have to get on board. Eventually, and I know you said eventually, but we're gonna have to get on board, and we might as well just do it now. That's my opinion.
This might have been asked the last meeting, I can't remember, as far as, you talk about the billing ambulance. Today's their ambulance, tomorrow's our ambulance. If it's in our area, can't they respect that, or that's not the best way to put it, but go by what our standards are, and if we're in theirs, go by that standard? Is that an issue or not?
It doesn't necessarily work that way.
They have
The
their,
transporting truck is the bill. So whether we go over to Huntertown and pick up a patient, or they come over to Grable and pick up a patient, whoever transports is the one that bills. And so that's where it kind of creates a little bit of a chaos, is that two different trucks that bill differently are going to the same area. And so depending on the truck is how it's going to get billed. So if it's a Northwest truck, or even, if it's a Northwest paramedic, let's say, but they're in our ambulance, we still bill. And so that person would get the 40% discount. If it reverses, and it's a Northwest ambulance, but a Northeast paramedic, it'll be a Northwest bill. Does that make sense? It's
But
the
Northwest has
ambulance.
their billing practices, we have ours. We have our approved, they have their approved, and they have to go off of that, and that's
And
why we're trying to
Medicare.
combine it all.
That's Medicare. It's the ambulance that transports that can bill. That was the big thing with TRA way back in the day. That's why we all started doing our home paramedic service, because patients were getting two bills. They get a local bill, and then when TRA came out, they were getting billed again. And that, through the years, got shut down to where, like with Medicare and on all that, it's the transporting truck that is able to bill. And there's only one bill, there's only one, and then that's it.
I guess another month, I'd be willing to see what the other districts are gonna do, if they're gonna jump on where they wouldn't be, going to tax, asking for taxes. I might spin this out right now, but.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not okay with us levying any taxes. Further, when we created this district, we upped a lot of people's taxes and made a lot of people unhappy. And I get why we did it, but to now say a year and a half later, we're gonna levy more, and because we're not gonna do a 40% or 40% discount, I don't know if
Well,
that's,
that wouldn't be all of the tax.
no, but I'm
I
just
mean,
saying,
It'd be like
you know.
a
So we're saying we're not willing to get rid of the 40% cash discount, but we're more than willing to tax people.
Well,
And that's my problem.
the bigger picture is what the state legislature did within the fire districts, that now you can have the fire district, and if you want as the fire district to be the
Yeah.
EMS provider, and if you're the EMS provider, then that taxing option comes in, and now you can tax for that EMS portion of it.
Yeah.
And that way you are the sole EMS provider within that fire district. And that's what they just passed last year, but became effective July 1st. Is that essentially a good summary of it?
Yeah, the General Assembly. Yeah, they should.
Well, okay, yeah.
I agree with you, I don't wanna, but if the rest of them do it, the next month or so, then consolidation, we'd want to file a suit. Otherwise, it'd be.
Well, I mean, we're already saying we don't want to, we're already saying we don't want to do that with not taking away the 40% discount. So if we're not going to do the 40% discount going away and everybody else does, then why are we going to go along with everybody else on the taxes? I mean, if we're not willing to do it the whole way, and we're only going to do it part way, then we're picking and choosing, and that's not what this is about if consolidation is happening.
Right. If we charge for the ambulance run through the taxes and reimbursement, whatever the insurance company gives us, you won't have to worry about a 40% discount, because they don't have insurance. If you won't go to an insurance company, there won't be a charge at all. It's then based on the tax rate or the levy rate. Whereas now, you're right, you have a 40% discount, and then if you keep both, we don't want to keep both.
You wouldn't keep both, either you're raising taxes
Right.
and
The only
Did it that
reimbursement
way.
would be through insurance, not through individual pay.
I can agree, I don't want to raise taxes too, so.
Don't want to do it double.
Okay.
Hands down, I agree with that. And is it I don't know if it's my assumption or not, but I don't know, Mike, if you could clarify it or not, if we decide to become the EMS provider here in this district, does that throw us into having to do that, EMS levy? If we become the EMS provider within this fire district, then are we obligated to do that EMS levy?
The EMS levy?
Well,
Is that what
the
you-
charging for it, the tax charging for it?
Well, the provision's in there.
Right.
It says, I believe it says may,
Yeah.
you don't have to, you may.
And you have to understand, we run one budget.
Right.
For both services. Township government runs fire and EMS separate. You know, somebody gave them the ability to do that a couple of years ago. And that's why, so that the taxpayer knows exactly the rate they're paying for the service. What you have to have the discussion about here is that you're okay with levying a tax for both services because of the way it has to be accounted, and then a user fee on top of it because that's what you're talking about.
Right.
So is that double taxation on a user fee? I don't know. You guys have to decide that.
But the way you said that, isn't it true that because we do both, our budget now is accounting for both? It's not that we're adding a new tax, we're just saying that we're going to provide fire and EMS out of that same tax, is that right?
And so officially, before we had the law change, you really couldn't assess taxes for EMS.
Right.
There was no provision.
It was all fire.
Exactly, it was all fire suppression and fire prevention. Those are the only two things you could assess taxes for. So then it would require a user fee to try and fund the EMS side. You can look at other entities, you know, you can take Fort Wayne as an example. That's why there's Tron, the Terriers Ambulance Authority, that uses user fees, and then there's the Fort Wayne Fire Department that has their own budget, but doesn't have user fees. It's tax funded on the EMS side. That's a perfect example. Whether or not through consolidation we end up being like them, my guess is we probably will because of the way taxation is. And so you don't have double taxation, so two entities aren't taxing for the same service. But again, it's hard to say what will happen. But you just have to, you know, you want to up the numbers and get the higher user fees on the people that need the service, or make the adjustment. And the adjustment that I gave them between 1 and 2 cents was based on this year's numbers. There's going to be growth next year.
Right, it's a
Well, we're assuming
guesstimate.
that's
Yeah.
not much less.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think most of the districts probably don't know about this. I know that the county commissioner that are involved in the consolidation do. Their lobbyists were part of this to get this orchestrated and get this in the bill and the way it was written so that it would facilitate this. And that's, you know, it was put there for a reason, so that we didn't have to operate not according to statute.
Right. And now they've just given us another,
Yeah, and
Avenue.
this is not unique in Allen County by any means. They did this because this problem exists all through the state. There's like 144 fire districts in the state. There's more fire districts than counties. So, you know, that's why all this is moving, and it's moving really quickly. And I think it's going to continue to move every legislative session. We're already talking about more changes. So that's why it's a moving target, and you guys are just going to have to take it as it comes and act accordingly in your constituents' best. You know.
so actually, like Chief, you said that we've been running both EMS and fire off of the fire taxation.
Yeah.
And this new law or ordinance by the General Assembly would allow us to split that and more, I guess, better document what we are actually spending on EMS versus rolling it into the fire department. We'd have to split out some of that, is that correct?
I don't know that part of it.
Well, the split out was for townships and for territories.
Your fire was gonna stay the
Oh,
same.
okay.
So ours is, yeah.
Okay.
What
Fire
I
was
was trying to
staying the
say
same,
is
you're
that
gonna
we're
up the
already paying for all of that.
Correct.
To provide it at the same rate we're charging.
Right.
So you can say we're adding a tax by name, but we're not adding a tax by amount, if I understood you right. That we're taking,
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
well, but you said earlier that we used to be able to suppression and prevention.
Yeah.
Now we're doing suppression prevention, and EMS.
and mobile integrated health.
Yeah. So we're still doing it with the same budget, but now we've got the legal authority to do that.
Correct.
Right. And along with it.
He explained a lot of this to
and
me
the-
the
and
other
the-
day.
And the law, and the other option with that allows us, if we choose, to tax.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
It's clear in the language here.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we're taxing now, though, just all the tax goes to fire.
Right,
So now we can say.
if we,
You could split it and say, oh, well, we're giving less tax to fire, more to EMS, but the total amounts is the same, or we're
But
going to
right,
increase
Our guys do both. So
Right.
it's the
Right.
same people doing it.
and then we're back to Brandon's point, which is well taken, is not to do a double taxation, but do we do away with the 40% discount or not? Do we match stuff and we just continue that way for now?
Well, I mean, up to the thing, here's the thing, we're talking about consolidation, we're consolidating over here. This is one of the issues that we have, is the billing issues. We've gone to now state level and taxing and all that, but ultimately the main issue right now for us is here, and it's that billing. And I honestly, you know, I know that we've had to conform a little bit more with Northwest and had to take a lot of their stuff and bring it over here, but ultimately it is a give and take, but unfortunately I think we're going to have to give a little bit on it. And I personally, I hate making people spend more money, I really do, but everybody else in the county doesn't do it. I don't know why we need to do it any further. And I get that we have the largest Amish population. It's not just going to affect the Amish population, though. It's going to affect everybody who wants to pay cash. So, and I get it that the Amish population is vastly the majority of that. But I truly believe we just need to, unfortunately, get on the same page. That way, that's one less hurdle we're going to have with this consolidation. If we don't, we are going to play the hurdle game over and over and over again. Like Ben said, we're going to get ourselves into a trick bag where our guys are going to respond, and one day one neighbor gets the discount, and then Northwest responds and they don't get the discount, and now they're talking, and now we've got quite the conundrum on our hands. Now, I don't know, Ben, have we talked to Northwest about giving that 40% discount? Have they said no?
Well,
Or are we the ones that are going to be making that concession?
just in talking with Brian, it was no. I mean, it hadn't gone up their channel to the board or anything, but I'd be hard pressed to think that you're going to get a no, or I mean, that they would be willing to do a 40% discount. I mean, I could always ask, but you also have to think of the makeup of what we have over here versus there. We have probably the lowest amount of cash payers in the county, as far as, even though the Amish will be our majority, our highest payer is Medicare. That's who's paying us the most. Private insurance is next. So most of our people are either elderly and on Medicare or privately insured. Our cash payers are basically the Amish. But in the grand scheme of, like, you know, Northwest, where they do double the runs we do with 3 times the population, they're going to have 3 times the cash payers. And so for them to knock almost half of that ambulance bill off, it would be a huge financial hit to them. I just, in my mind, can't think of why they would want to do that.
Thank you, Ben. That's kind of what I was getting at, is we're asking them to take a huge hit to come to the table, or we can take a small hit and come to the table. And at this point, I hate that the small hit has to happen, but it has to, in my opinion, it has to happen.
I'm just saying they don't have to do it though in the Northwest.
No,
It's still.
no, but then we get ourselves into a really bad
And
trick
then a year
bag.
from now,
And we say, and I guarantee you, we say, oh, let's wait and see what happens, but Jeff's gonna be putting out proverbial fires when it happens. And that's just more stuff that they have to deal with, when we could have easily solved this problem right now.
Now, Ben, I guess I'll call it a clarification, but when you said when it comes down to when the patient's billed, and if it's, I mean, we already know what happens when it's the cash paying customers. If a cash paying customer gets a bill and they don't pay, is it our decision not to take them to collections, or is it our insurance that, or I shouldn't say our insurance, our billing agency that decides to take them to collections?
Well,
I made that
I was gonna
decision.
say-
I can speak to that. I made a decision years ago, and if you want to get rid of the 40%, get rid of it. But when those people call and complain, there is a hardship that I set up years ago. They could call, talk to the billing company, and figure out a hardship, where then they could get a discount if they could prove it was hardship. So run it down that aisle instead.
and I will say, yeah,
And I guess along those lines, if we're not going to pursue a collections on them, then they probably still will get some kind of a discount. Because if they don't pay at all,
They get 100% discount.
yeah. Right. I mean, I don't want to advertise it, all you got to do is say, I'm not paying anything, but
I called them every month
yeah,
and asked if they could do anything to help out, and we would accept anything. $100,
Right.
that's all they had, it's better than nothing.
right, right.
And if they said, we don't have money, then I would send them up to the billing company on a hardship. But they had to prove it was hardship.
Sure.
You know, and there are other means, there was, and I'm assuming there still is.
yeah, the billing company does have a hardship option. In fact, I had one come through last month, and it is thorough. I mean, I couldn't believe what they had to fill out for that hardship. So there is that avenue. Yeah, the collections thing, I mean, to pass the buck, I inherited that, and I never was,
But-
interested in changing it. So
But that's our decision.
that's, yeah, so that's
Okay,
our decision.
okay, okay.
But I'm with Ben as my family was in collections and they take a decent fee. By the time the fee's done and the collections happened, it's minimal.
Right.
So at that point, I don't see, but for me, for me, it comes down to, are we gonna get uniform across the board? And we're gonna keep from causing further issues, other than unfortunately, we're gonna have some people that are gonna be unhappy with the extra payment. But that's a small portion of our constituents. We ultimately, in my opinion, that 40% needs to go and we need to get on par.
And if they can't pay it, it sounds like there's already.
We've got hardships, we've got avenues.
Yeah,
So I will make a motion to bring our medical fees differences on par with Northwest, including eliminating the 40% discount for cash pay. Is that correct?
Do we need to balance bill?
And I was gonna say, and also if you could add the balance bill within our coverage area.
question?
Just remember that when you guys approve the territory, all the taxpayers in this district were promised they would not have to pay the bill. Because you guys are new, and I don't know if you know that, and that was huge.
You're correct, 100%. That was promised. Doesn't mean it can't change, but it was
Well,
promised.
I just, because you guys are new, and I don't know if you're aware of that, because it was very heated, and
Brian remembers.
We're not talking about anything different than what we're doing, other than
yeah.
raising
Yeah.
pay.
No, they accept what the insurance pays, but then they're not billed anything else.
And we never said anything about changing that.
Oh, I thought you did.
Well,
I
No.
thought that was part of
Can I
your-
speak to that? Let me-
No, absolutely
Can
not.
I speak to that?
That's what we wanted to make sure of.
Thank you.
There is a minor change. We would get rid of, if you live in this district, we don't balance the bill, and if you live out of the district, we balance the bill. We will bill your insurance, which is what the state, allows us to do. But if you have a deductible that you have not met, then there would be a bill. And that is different from if you live in Leo.
But that's not us making that decision, that's the state saying that
That's the
happens.
state house.
So we're not
But it
changing
goes-
anything on our part.
I just want to make sure.
No,
Yeah.
You're good. You're good, I appreciate the
Good
question.
point.
So, So, no, but we're not changing anything other than we're adding the balance. What did you want me to add to the
Or
motion?
removing the fact of, well, if you live in the district versus not live in the district.
We'll remove the out of district
District
and district requirements.
So just for point of clarification,
So everybody will get the same treatment.
so you are going to balance.
So it does remove that benefit if you're in our district.
Okay, balance.
So everybody's gonna get treated the same way.
Everybody's gonna get treated the same.
But
what I was-
Does that make sense?
we just don't pursue collections and,
Right.
okay. So that part remains intact. Yes, sir.
But you are voting to remove the 40% for cash discount. I'm not gonna put the word Amish in there because
No, but-
anyone can pay the 40%.
We are, that is on the table. We're voting for
Voting to
that.
remove the 40% cash discount to any resident.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor for the 40%, removing that discount and moving in line with Northwest Fire District for their ambulance charges and fees. Is there a second?
It's gonna fall flat. We're
I'll call
just gonna,
I'll call for another second. Okay, motion does not pass.
well, Jeff, good luck. Cause you're gonna have a fight. Okay.
Was it dropped for that, or do we go ahead
It's done.
and name it? Well,
It stops there.
now do we choose to table it for another meeting? I'd like to hear, out of respect, what the board, the Northwest board is going to say, not just, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers at you guys.
No,
That
but
Brian's
just-
wrong, but I'd like to hear what they're going to say and what they're going to do in the next month. I don't, to me, tabling it for another month or two isn't really going to hurt a lot. Make you a little more, but I'm just not ready to say one way or the other at the moment, to be honest with you.
I have one
I
other
don't think
question.
it's dropped.
Right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Was, when you said if you couldn't pay, you got maybe help, went through the,
Hardship.
Kept thinking handicap, but that wasn't right. Hardship. Who monitors that? Who does the hardship? Who do you go to?
The billing company.
That is the billing company.
Yeah.
Okay.
The billing is, it is confusing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I might not have explained it well enough, but yeah, it's a big deal.
Okay, you want to make a motion to table it and
I'd make a motion to
discuss?
table, and I'd like to hear what the Northwest District board is going to say, and maybe by then we'll hear what other districts are going to do with their budget, if they're going to try to go for a tax or what. I'm torn both ways yet, I just don't want to, I admit, I don't want to raise taxes, but go ahead,
I
Troy.
don't think Brian was taking that to the board,
I'll discuss it with them.
but, sitting down when we would talk about this, he wasn't even gonna present it to this board. 'Cause this.
Brian, I will.
It was not a thing that we do, so.
I talk to their board all the time. I will talk to Mike Messman and them.
I appreciate that, because I mean, you're asking this board to make a decision, and they're not even gonna get the chance to say yes or no. I
But
appreciate
again,
you talking.
I'll be more than willing to talk to them, but again, I can tell you, knowing their board members, them taking a huge hit, because we move into their building, is not,
They would take a huge hit, but I don't,
because if they don't give their 40%, customers 40%, and they have to pay cash, and then all of a sudden they do that, and all this, and they start losing all these people, instead of paying the full amount, they have a bigger piece of the pie in that than we do. So, and I get it, and I will talk to them, and I will discuss it with them and see what they think. I'll probably see most of them tomorrow.
I guess I'd be more comfortable to see what other districts are gonna be doing the next month or two on their budget. Proposing, and I'm not saying I wouldn't say to do away with it, because we want to make stuff easier, but I'm just not comfortable yet at this point. So I'd make a motion to table that, what we're talking about, for at least another month or
Okay,
in a meeting.
there's a motion being made to table discussion on the ambulance billing for a month. Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, Chris, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, all right, carried.
Thank you if you do see someone.
Okay, along, I guess I'll say the medical or the EMS lines, we alluded to this a couple times with the taxation and everything else, but I'd like for the Northeast Fire District to be established as the EMS provider for in this district. And we'll investigate any taxing implications or even decisions for 2026, but that'll be pertaining to the new Indiana Code 36-8-11-4. And in doing this, we'll have it put into, if it passes, we'll put it into a formal resolution that Northeast Fire District will be the EMS provider for this district.
So we'll just
Can I
vote
have-
on it when it comes about?
Can I have a motion on that, or?
Well, you said, when the,
So you basically,
Northeast Fire being the provider, but now we're asking, is it like still a same entity or two separate entities? How is that?
No, it's us as an
Do we
entity,
still stay one entity?
but we are going to be the official EMS
Official
provider within this fire district.
Just wanted to get clear on that.
Yes,
Would it be the fire and EMS provider?
well, we're already
Okay.
fire, just adding that
Okay.
we will be, they've allowed us to then
love how they make it so
declare
confusing.
whether we want to be the EMS provider within this district, where before it was just part of the fire department.
I'll make a motion that we become the premier EMS service for Northeast Fire District.
I'd second that.
Okay, and we will, would you add that it would be per the Indiana Code 36-8-11-4?
Per the Indiana Code, yes.
Okay, okay. And then we will, okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Brian, second.
Okay,
Any conversation?
motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, and then carried, and we'll get it reduced to, or submitted to resolution form for signing. Okay, Jeff, back to BC hiring.
All right. What do you want to know?
I guess what numbers are we down to, or?
Well, as far as which criteria?
We got the, well, I guess that maybe that's what we ought to discuss, whether we just have 3 only, or we have include the may haves as opposed to shall haves.
I give my opinion all the time, so I'll just go ahead and give my opinion. That we've got 3 people that hit all the qualifications. In my opinion, those are the 3 that we should definitely interview. And then if 1 or 2 or 3 all don't work out, then we start making caveats. But I think we have 3 that definitely meet the criteria. And those 3 are the ones that we should definitely interview first. If one of them doesn't work, then we start making the concessions. But I don't like making concessions. If you meet the criteria, you should get the first chance to interview. And then if we make the concessions, on top of those concessions, I would like to see that we give them a time frame to hit the criteria that we have required. But I think we've got 3 that meet all the requirements. I think those 3 should get the first chance at the interview. That's my opinion on it.
Okay.
That's where we're at.
Any other discussion?
That's where we're at with 3.
There's
No,
3, there's
I-
3.
somebody's on
According to the
Like
email, we had
according to that.
we had 18,
Okay.
and out of the 18, 3 hit all of our criteria.
And
There were a
11
couple that were
withdrew.
close,
Yeah,
but didn't hit all of our criteria. Is that correct?
Yeah, and Ben had recently spoke to somebody at the state. There is a waiver for driving the ambulance. That would add, what did I say?
And not being an EMT.
Yeah.
So we applied for a waiver for that.
But again, we're making concessions from what we wanted, correct? Even if we do that waiver, that's still a concession of, we've got 3 people who meet all the criteria.
Well, I can only say being an EMT isn't going to affect whether you're a good battalion chief or not. Most of the EMTs, or most of the battalion chiefs in Fort Wayne aren't. But we had it on there because I was under the impression you had to drive our ambulance. Southwest has this waiver already. Apparently, a lot of people had it during COVID.
During COVID. If you're a paramedic, you have to have an EMT on the ambulance. You can have 5 or 6 other people, but you have to have an EMT. So to drive that paramedic in, you have to be an EMT. Most people have that requirement because of the state. The state is actually going to remove that requirement. You know how the state works, they just haven't done it yet. So they have this waiver, it came out of COVID, and pretty much, from what I was told is, you apply for that waiver, they have this meeting every month. It doesn't even go to the state EMS commission anymore, they just said if the waiver comes in, approve it. So, in essence, those people that don't have their EMT, now, because of the state, yeah, they don't necessarily qualify, but it's a rule that's going away, if that makes sense.
okay, question, I think we'll clarify what you were saying and asking and what Jeff was saying. So initially, a must-have was EMT?
Yeah, because that's what I thought we had
But
to.
the intent behind it was to drive.
If they were going to drive, if a battalion chief is driving an ambulance, we've
Right.
probably got some serious problems going on.
Anyway, because he shouldn't be driving that in.
It should be another job for him to do.
Okay,
So if we do the waiver, how many does that add, Jeff?
Well, if you do the waiver and the hiring flyer said that for NIMS you had to have 100, 200, 700, and 800, and prefer, but didn't require 300 and 400. So if we go by that, that only adds us 1 more person. The other thing that would add us a few more is the pension. The fact that there's 3 people that applied that are already drawing the pension, but they can't go back in it again. And the state never really took that into account. The rule with the pension is you gotta join and Mike, you can help me with this, if you are already drawing the pension, good for you, but if you get hired new, they don't want some department to hire new guys and screw them out of their ability to get a pension by not putting them in the police and fire pension. But we've got 3 applicants that are already in the pension. They're already drawing it. They've earned their benefit from
Oh,
the
those are
department.
top 3.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Well, I don't know what you mean by top 3.
But
Well,
those,
first three.
those 3, that's the only thing that's
That
holding them out of all the requirement?
If you guys remember the chart I gave you, there was a couple things for the 4 different people. There was 1, 2, or 3 things that kept them off of it. The EMS thing might be out the window. The NIMS was a should, not a must, or a may. But it was the pension, and like I mentioned to some of you before, there are other departments that have already hired people that are retired, knowing that they've got their pension already. You're not getting screwed out of the pension. Whereas that would open it up to a couple more names.
I guess the pension thing is confusing to me.
Yeah, it is. If you talk to the state, they'll tell you, period, this is what it says. But like I said, there are departments that are doing it. The intent was to not mess with a brand new hire,
Okay.
as opposed to the people at the other end of the spectrum who have already drawn their pension.
If there's somebody already drawing a pension, does it matter whether they're on the Act of 77 or 37?
Oh, I don't think we
As
had
far as the
anybody
new
old enough
pension,
for 37.
as far as the new pension,
Uh,
putting them on a new pension, does it matter? Or is it just
Well,
solely the
what-
Act of 77? If they're on it and drawing,
if you're on 37, you wouldn't want
well,
to
you
go to
wouldn't want to be
77.
here. Yeah,
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 and
you'd
you're
be
also,
out fishing.
Confuses me.
yeah, we're looking at people that are at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, we want experience, right? So
Yeah,
we're
that was the whole idea.
Shouldn't be
And-
looking at anybody at the bottom end.
And these are the people
Starting
with
out.
the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already put in a career someplace else.
Hate to put you on the spot, Mike, but if you got any,
Yeah,
how can,
So.
what's the difference or what?
And this is really complicated for the average person to not understand. There's time requirements that you have to hit, and when Northeast Fire District accepted the 77 fund, and we sent our people down there to be tested, these qualifications, and then there was a one-time chance for people that were on civilian birth or not on birth at all. They could either, if they're on civilian birth, they could buy their credits, and they could, as long as they met the criteria, they could jump to the 77 fund. That was very expensive for most of them. And then the other one was if they went on, they would have to meet the age requirements and all the physical standards and the CMAT and all those other things. They changed that a couple of years ago to where, you know, they thought they could still hire civilians and put on civilian first system, but that's not the case. Once a fire department starts with the 77 fund, or the police department as well, which all police and fire is in that 77 fund now. The reason that they changed that law was to keep that fund solid. If you remember right, looking back through the history of the state of Indiana, the teachers fund was not solvent. The 77 fund is in the very 90 percentile, 98, 97% solvent, and they want to keep it there. So to keep it that way, to balance that out, they have to make sure that everybody coming into the fire service goes into that 77 fund, to keep that fund solid. That's the rationale for the I guess, moratorium on somebody that can't meet the standards or didn't take the one-time opportunity to convert. But that one-time opportunity with us is long past because we've been sending checks down to the 77 fund for quite some time now. So we're kind of locked out of bringing those people in. So the easiest ones are the ones that can qualify and meet the requirements of the standard under code. The other way, and the chief knows this, is a lateral transfer of someone that's already in the system. And you bring them from another city within the state of Indiana.
Okay, already in the system,
Yeah,
not collecting a pension.
that's correct. Yeah, there was a one time
We only have one of
districts,
those.
Yeah.
before districts would go into the fund, they could hire those people because the funds in the 77 wasn't established for their employees. But once you start sending checks and once those employees are into that fund, then all goes away.
So is it possible for, and I don't have a clue, for these individuals not to be in 77, not to be in anything, do a waiver, and then put that extra 21% just in a paycheck and have no retirement? They've already got a retirement.
So the simple answer to that is no, they can't do that. Under Indiana code, the only person that can do that is the fire chief, none of the local ranks. There's a provision in code for any chief. We can bring any chief in from anywhere, anyhow. There's a provision to not look at that pension situation.
So,
He's the only rank.
so if you're, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, if I, so I understand If we go by what they're saying the code is, when we take that EMS driving thing out, then we'd have 4 people.
We'd have one more person, yep.
And it's funny that I think Southwest has done that. I think Poe used to do that same where we got that waiver.
Yeah, Southwest has the waiver.
When we first started paramedic, we had waivers.
And that's a great idea. That's the best utilization of people.
I'm not sure that it's ours.
Yeah, we don't have it.
But,
But you reapplied for it.
But I reapplied, yeah.
It's, no.
but now that we have our personnel on the Axis 77, then we can't hire anybody that's,
Yeah, and they will, Perf will kick that out. They will see that.
when we start making
If you
payments or
attempt-
whatever, yeah.
If you attempt it,
And
they'll look at the higher things.
Right.
They know.
but then we can't, as a board or as a district, put those monies into 457 or 401k or,
No, no, they literally, unless you qualify or you're lateral transfer, you're locked out, unless you're the fire chief. That's the easiest way to say it.
And accepting a lateral will add one more for us.
Yeah.
So it'd be 4 or 5 then?
Maybe 4.
4. I kind of think we should go that way personally.
As long as they meet the requirements, and if that waiver is the
Yeah.
only thing that's preventing them, I'm fine with that.
I think.
But I don't like the idea of doing a whole bunch of concessions
Yes.
for stuff that we're looking for. I just think if we've got qualified for the number of people we need now, if we didn't have enough, okay, we start looking at what can we concede. But we've got enough, and now we've even got one more than enough. I think we give them a chance. If they don't work out, and I mean, that means to me, there's no pressure on making sure that these 3 are the ones, or these 4 out of these 4 are the ones. It's just, let's give these 4 the opportunity that they meet the requirements. Let's give them the opportunity, run them through, and then make a decision. And ultimately, if we don't, then I know it's gonna put us back a little bit, but then we start looking at maybe making concessions.
And in my eyes, that biggest requirement was the experience.
I agree, 100%.
Well, I'd make a motion that we leave everything the way it was, but take out the requirement for to be an EMS driver. Does that make sense?
They need to get the waiver.
Yes.
yeah, that gives us the 4. Okay.
I know we would have liked 7, we would like a higher amount, but again, we've got guys that meet the criteria, and that's kind of the way I see it, is we give those guys the fair opportunity, since they meet all requirements, to be the first. And if we don't pick, we pick 1 out of the 4 of them, and then we want to start making concessions, okay, but I still think we need to make sure that the guys that meet the requirements get that first opportunity, that first crack at it.
Okay, Brian's got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Brandon seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Are they gonna go through the merit board?
We do not have a merit board in place.
It doesn't go until January 1 is when it starts. At least that's what I was told by the
We
people I've talked to.
are the one in the county that doesn't meet all the requirements. Our population's not over 20,000. So we don't have to do it. Everybody else has to.
But I think a merit board is good for our boots on our guys in the station.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we do it 100%. I think the merit board's a good thing for everybody.
Absolutely.
So even if we don't meet the requirements, I still think we need to do it.
As long as we're allowed to do it, not meeting that. But
Yes.
Yeah, we're not required, but yeah.
So, but I was under the
If you
assumption
got
that
any opposition that's going
that
to say no.
January 1 was when all of that had to be 100% into effect. Is that correct?
Last January or next?
This coming January? Because I know we had this year to get our board, get our merit board, get all of that stuff. They were working on the rules. It sounds like they've gotten to that point. So we can start running the merit board at any point now, is what I was told, but January 1 is the end date.
It was supposed to start those steps going forward, January 1 of '25, working through to having it in place yet this year. Everybody in Allen County that's required to get it is making progress, but they're not, they should have had everything in place already. But they are making progress.
Do we have?
The
everything in
BCs,
place?
We're the only one that, we're ahead of everybody else. I guess that's the best way to say it.
we have our board picked, we have, all the members are picked for the merit board. Now it's just, and they finalized a lot of the rules, and they're still, I think, working through some of them. But we have everything ready to go. It's just a matter of pulling the proverbial trigger to make it
It's a matter
happen.
of
But
everybody being on the
You
same
want
sheet of
everybody's
music.
buy-in.
but the BC spots right now are not going to go through the merit board.
You're gonna meet a lot of resistance that way.
Well, nobody is doing the hiring through the merit board right now. Not one county district right now is doing that.
Lead the way.
So,
Be the leader. Step up.
well, we've already got our process in place for the BCs, but it may be, and I get we're gonna get kickback on it, it is what it is, but maybe once the BCs are in place, we're gonna be looking at hiring firefighters. We go through the,
We should have been looking at that 3 months ago.
well,
Way behind on that too.
again, we're playing catch up right now and we get that, but we're trying to get back on pace. So,
Thought a couple meetings ago, we did discuss
yeah, I mean,
running the interview process through the merit.
yeah, the last meeting we discussed it, and I think the process we have right now is fair. Chief's got a really good process of bringing outside people to evaluate. It's a good process. We're just gonna go with it for the time being, and then we'll go merit board when we can. But yeah, I mean, the quicker we get these BCs in place, the quicker we can get the next phase of getting more boots in the stations. So I say,
So what does the merit board, I mean, who truly hires the BCs? Isn't it the board? It's not the merit board, is it?
If the merit board's in place,
Jeff picks the BCs that come, the chief picks the BCs, he brings his recommendation to us and we approve it.
Okay, so
As
we
of
don't,
right
we
now.
don't interview the BCs.
Well, part of it, there will be 2 of us, at least from what I thought, there will be 2 of us in on the final interview. And then those 2 plus him, and I don't know, I think Troy's involved in it and Ben is involved in it too.
somebody, yes. Yeah,
So the group that picks and wants them, brings them in front of us, and then we vote
Okay.
to approve.
But if during the interview process, a couple of people from the merit board, maybe not the whole merit board was involved in it, would that not
Yeah,
help everybody?
we just gotta be careful, we can't get a quorum on any of the interviews, so it's only 2.
It's only
Max 2
Yeah.
of us, and we got 2 members of ours are gonna be on the merit board, so we can use those 2 members if they can. That would be at least part of the merit board on there.
Yeah.
So-
It's a step in the right direction, I feel.
Yeah.
But I think we need to get the process moving.
Yeah.
So get the 4 a call, Jeff, and get it rolling, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Cause I know that there's other departments that are gonna be starting to hire in the fall. We need to get out in front of them.
Get in front of them, yeah, be first.
Cause we're starting to see a very diminished pool.
Yeah.
So, at least that's I agree with Brian, let's get that process going and see what we come up with. From what I saw on the list that you said, the criteria you gave, obviously, personality plays a lot into it and how they're gonna fit in, but the criteria that I saw for the 3, and actually for 4 or 5 of them I saw were perfect fits for what we were looking for. It's just a matter of what you think and what these guys think when it comes down to the interviews and the evaluations and stuff.
Okay. Budget process.
Okay.
We getting close?
We've got a meeting tomorrow just the two of us, and then we've got a meeting with the DLGF on Thursday, and hopefully we'll be close to.
Okay, okay. Now, Jim, we want to set some dates here for August for our,
Two meetings.
yeah, 10 days apart. Our regular meeting is August 25th. So if we go, that'd be more than 10 days, but we could go to August 11th. Or we can go later. I mean, it just depends. How's that look, Jeff, the 11th?
As far as,
Too early? You want a few days after that?
well, I got an email from Bob Armstrong the other day, and he said in the next week or two, he's gonna call each of us in for a meeting, but I haven't got an exact date yet.
Okay, okay.
I don't,
Well, if he calls you, yeah, before we get our notice out and stuff, we can always bump it, but does the, how's the 11th look?
For me.
11th's okay with me.
I'll have to see, but if you can make a quorum, I don't need to be here,
Okay.
so.
All right, well, let's set them for the 11th, and then we'll have our regular meeting also on the 25th. That'll give us the 10 days in between, if we
We'll
need
have
to
like
adjust.
two meetings on the 25th, I think, doesn't,
Does that be a
Yeah,
separate?
you'll have to do
ask for
separate.
two separate
We
meetings.
can do a separate one first for the
that's
budget.
what the agenda showed last year.
Yeah.
We had a meeting,
Split it.
opened
Yeah.
it,
5:45 will be
Closed
the
it.
one meeting, and then 6 o'clock will be our official meeting.
that's what it was last year.
That's just on the 25th, right?
You
Correct.
can have them, you can
Correct.
start at 6 and have your public, and then
Yeah.
Sure,
we do
whichever.
the council.
Yeah.
Start with the public first.
So we're doing we're not doing the 11th?
Yes,
Yes,
we're doing the
yes.
11th
We have
and the
to have
25th.
Two budget meetings, so we have to have two.
So it's 2 budget meetings and a regular meeting, so it's just total.
Okay, sure.
Oh, no, that's all right.
And how soon did you want to start doing the interviews and BCs, Jeff?
Well, we've got to do a couple other steps first. I didn't move forward with anything because we didn't know how many people we were going to have.
Correct.
That will be one of the later steps, that we can get started on the other stuff right now.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as you get it set up, let us know.
There'll be a written test,
Get this
there'll be
rolling.
a couple other steps, an assessment center.
What's a target date you was planning on hoping you could have on board, I guess?
Well, I really didn't plan anything until I knew how many we were going to get. If we were going to have a whole bunch of them, it was going to take a
It'll take
whole long time to
longer.
run through. So, yeah, as soon as possible. So, yeah.
We've got, what was it, we got 4, right?
I guess I have one more question. With the BC process going, is it too early to start thinking about posting for the firefighter EMT spots?
I was going to ask that before we ended. I would like to start that relatively soon.
In my opinion, start it as soon as you can.
We can put the flyer out, we can leave it open for a little bit longer, but we can
Yeah,
work
get the
on that.
process rolling so we can
Yeah.
get them.
Let's get out in front of,
Fine tune that application page.
Yeah, I'll get started on that.
I know I've heard Northwest is looking to doing a hiring process in the fall. I heard East Central might, and I heard West Central might. So if we can get out in front of them and get this going first, I think it's a good idea.
I didn't know all 3 of them were, I knew 2 of them were. So, yeah.
Those are just the 3 that I have heard rumblings about. So at that point, I want to get out in front of it
Yeah.
before.
And Fort Wayne is wrapping up one right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Now hopefully we look better than 4
You don't need that as a motion, I think, right?
No.
I don't think so. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
Fine with me.
not until we get them.
And you'll let us know when you want to start doing some interviews?
Yeah.
Take with that.
Okay, any other new business? Any? Oh,
One thing, and it came to me, I don't know why, in the middle of all this, Base 240, Harlan Station, got a new roof. My predecessor got a bid for a roof, and there was no money for it last year. I've still got that bid. I'm sure would have to update it, but
for
240, or 140, I'm sorry, 140 in grade. Without having the lease done, I wasn't sure how we were going to address that. Are we paying for it? Who's paying for it?
well, it's not gonna hurt you to get a quote,
I can have the quote redone,
and then we'll,
because it's probably a year old.
yeah, there'll definitely be changes to it. And then I'll see what update we get from Chris.
And that's above and beyond, you know, any of the remodel, add-on stuff that needs to be done, just for living quarters. Neither one of those stations were designed for as many people as we're gonna have living there.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're gonna get a quote then.
Yeah, that's not gonna hurt anything.
What about the,
Jeff, are you gonna put in the budget for possible renovations next year? Since right now, I don't think we have the budget for it.
so he has no.
We've got money outstanding, but the fact of the matter is we're never gonna see that, so are we budgeting for next year?
The short answer is yes, the long answer is with
Communications line.
with the stuff that just happened today with
Not gonna sign it.
172 not going over there, we might not,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna have to come out of the Cume fund unless we can put it in the budget and have it. That's part of what, when we talk to DLGF Thursday, we'll get a little better idea. Yeah.
Okay. I just, if it's gonna go in the budget, like I said, I've lost hope in the other funds that we could use, but I think that if we have to add it to the budget, we need to get it done so that the guys in the stations can live comfortably for the 24 hours that they have to spend at the station.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something to them, that's for sure. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Any public
Question
input?
you answered, so.
Okay. All right. I guess I'll look for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Second. Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you. What's that? Absolutely I do. Okay, wherever you want to do it.
I'm nice and public.
Yeah, Pat. Couldn't remember his last name. Yeah, and he